good to have you on Daybreak on Raj News. It's time for the press preview. First look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. We'll begin with this day. And the Presidency, Buhari to sign reworked electoral bill tomorrow. APC's voting Presidency to South puts PDP in Quandry. And there's more. Rising oil prices worry federal government, says Nigeria not gaining from soaring rates.
And to the Nation's newspaper this morning, lawmakers to vote on VAT power devolution. Others, constitution review enters crucial stage. Leading photo here on the front of the Nation's newspaper this morning. Violence mars Osun PDP ward delegates poll. There's more on that on page 30. More stories now. Arebeshala's man asks court to void Oyetola's victory. Now this is in Osun State. Another headline on the front of the Nation's paper this morning. Airlines lost $60 million to bird strikes in 1 year.
Well, the photograph on the front page of the Punch this morning is that of the destruction from fire at the Finance Ministry inverter room. But the paper is leading with the constitutional amendment story. It says, as outrage as National Assembly considers life pension for presiding officers. You want to pick a copy of the Punch to find out details of that story and many more.
The Guardian newspaper, FEC OK's $58 billion contract for works, humanitarian affairs, and government fixes February the 28th to resolve issues with ASU and how to restructure Nigeria by AFDB President Adesina. I'll find that report in The Guardian. It's on page 2.
Some international papers now. The Times says public transport drops mask rules as Delta infections die out. Also, Ukraine war could drive 5 million from their homes. Another headline here on the Times newspaper, students set to shoulder £10,000 bill for degrees.
Well, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello for the review of the papers this morning. Good morning, Emmanuel. Great to see you again. This day is leading with some political story, particularly that of the politics of the ruling party, APC. All eyes on the party. It says zoning presidency to South puts PDP in quandary. Bilal Mohammed, ruling party's decision constitutes no threat to us. What's the story about? What's going on?
Good morning, Adeswa. He's talking about the crisis of zoning. You know, we've been talking about this. Which party is zoning what? And the APC seem to have decided that it's zoning the presidency to the south. I think what the APC has essentially done is to buy into the national mood or the mood of the nation, where a whole lot of conversation around the issue suggests that people want to see a change. That after 8 years of a northern presidency, they want to see a southerner or somebody from the south becoming president. APC seem to have bought into that with this report. And yes, it pits the PDP, the opposition party, against the rest of the country, because PDP seem to be suggesting that it's going to throw its own zoning formula open, that the president could come from any parts of the country. That's not what agitators of a southern president or southern presidency want to hear. They want a party that will be so decisive, so definitive, so clear about where it is zoning the presidency to. They don't want a party that, for instance, is going to dilly-dally around is going to be unclear about that issue. They want a party that will speak so boldly and say, look, we are zoning it to the southern part of the country, because a lot of people believe that that is what is fair, that is what is needful, that is historical, and it keeps with the whole north-south divide of how we share power. So seems to be what looks to be just and fair and almost appropriate. But for the PDP, not saying that very strongly. The story is telling you that, well, this pronouncement by the APC seemed to have pit the PDP or put it in a very dire situation, because the PDP too is considering that, look, it's going to lose a lot of goodwill if he says, okay, power is shifted to the south. What does it then do with people like Tambuwal, with Atiku, with Saraki, big names in its party that's thinking of the presidency? If the PDP comes out and says, look, we're zoning this to the south, the PDP will have, you know, excluded these big names, and that will be something for the party. But the APC seem to be very sure, on sure footing, and saying, look, we are zoning this to the south, and believing strongly that they have a candidate, or they have candidates, heavyweight candidates in the south that can actually be the standard bearers of the party as they go into national elections.
Emmanuel, still in this day, the paper is reporting from the presidency that the president is going to sign the reworked electoral bill tomorrow. We should look forward to that, shouldn't we?
Yes, we should. Everyone is convinced that that's what's going to happen. The spokesperson to the president, Malam Garba Shehu, is giving his assurances, and these are not flippant matter. If they don't do it again tomorrow, it's just going to be another reason to believe that someone somewhere is not taking these matters very seriously. But all indications point to the fact that the president is ready now. The contentious clause, clause 84, the issue surrounding it has been taken care of from the stories, which says, look, governors or governments, if you want to be a delegate, you should resign 3 months ahead of those elections, so that you don't have undue advantage with the delegates tally. That's what the clause 84 was trying to deal with, which was the only contention for the presidency. And going around that one, I don't think the president seems to have a document that he's very happy with and can really sign it now into law. The governors too seem to like the document more now, even though the National Assembly might not have the kind of reform that they really were looking forward to. That seemed to suggest that they wanted more power to the people, more power, strengthening democracy. But the president walking a fine line around those issues, coming up with this, the kind of document we have now that is ready to sign by tomorrow.
Well, we hope it gets signed, and Arise News will definitely be looking into that story. Moving on to the Nation's newspaper and focusing on Osun State, it's reporting that violence mars Osun PDP ward delegates poll. And as that's going on, the battle for the governorship tickets in the APC is shifting to the court, as Arabeshola's man, Moshood Adeoti, is asking the court to void Oyetola's victory in the primaries.
Well, all these developments, strengthens the position of the APC in that state clearly. And as we head into the general elections, it's so clear that although Osun is, this is a story that seems to concern just Osun State, but it's a picture, a clear, symbolic of the crisis around those elections that they are coming up ahead. And also, it's a litmus test to how powerful Tinubu, Bola Tinubu is in the scheme of things. Bola Tinubu is in the scheme of things. So that's where Osun, I think, is enjoying front page reporting. And of course, it's an election, and every kind of election is a litmus test, not only for what the participants are doing, but for the higher implications of those elections.
Emmanuel Bello, looking at the front page of the Punch, you kind of missed their leading story. We've heard of life pensions for state governors, for state legislatures. Now they're considering them for presiding officers at the National Assembly. CSOs, of course, are rejecting this, but is there any justification for life pensions such as this? Doesn't make any economic sense in a country like ours. Doesn't make any sense at all, Emmanuel.
No, it doesn't, and I think this is again what's and it's an old thing with the National Assembly, always trying to cut out benefit for itself, whether it is the contentious furniture allowance that that we dealt with in the past, and all the other strange kind of obstacles, monies that National Assembly people try to vote for themselves. And Nigerians always thinking that, look, these are officers that have overstretched themselves and overstretched the nation's pocket, and that they do even little for all that they're giving themselves. And now with this Punch story, of course, you can expect a lot of outrage, not only from civil society, not only from those of us covering these stories, but also from well-meaning people who look at all the other strata of the society and say, why should these people ask for life pension nation, considering all that they even get while they're in office. Nigerians always critiquing those jumbo salaries, those jumbo packages that they have. An average lawmaker in this country lives like a king anytime, any day, whether it's at the state level or even here at the federal level. So this is immodest, sometimes seen as immodest, sometimes also seen as being greedy of this lawmaker. Of course, they do very serious work. They are going to debate on all sorts of issues, the issues that concern us as a people as they go through those constitutional reviews and vote on those issues, very, very touching issues, deep issues that touch on our lives, you and I. But again, when they make out things like this, to try to get also sort of jumbo, cuts for themselves and freebies, a lot of people see them for what they believe they are, which is just a bunch of people that will keep patronizing and will keep pampering even for the little work they do. And these are people that go for very long holidays and sometimes, and then get themselves also all sort of privileges. So they're just watching and sometimes say that is actually one of the drains on the economy, especially a third world country, developing country like Nigeria, struggling with the crisis of development and growth.
Emmanuel, the headlines on the international papers, of course, they're all stale now. The Guardian saying state of emergency in Ukraine as US warns Putin ready to invade. Well, that invasion has already happened. Same goes for the Daily Express. And updates still coming in as the South Korean president says Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity must be respected. In this day newspaper, this rising oil prices worry the federal government. It says Nigeria not gaining from soaring rates, and the media's been reporting that the prices have gone up way above $100. We haven't seen that before in how many years now? 7 years. Where does this leave Nigeria? And what do you have to say to President Putin in Russia?
Yeah, I was listening to Dan, and Dan gave a very brilliant take on, on this. And yes, it's a worrisome. At least it confirms something that President Biden knows his onion. He knows what he was saying when he said those attacks were going to happen. Even within his country, the Republicans were jeering and mocking at that and saying that those attacks will not happen, those invasions will not happen. Of course, with the Russian president himself saying that, look, he has no plans to invade. But here, it's happening. So Biden scored a bullseye there. And but again, you are right about the implications. And yes, the rising of the prices of crude oil, and Nigeria not even benefiting from it. It's another Emmanuel Ade's very insightful story that only these days seem to be doing, looking at the oil industry and how global changes or global developments are not actually moving the needle for us here in bits. Now we have better prices out there because of those crises, and yet the minister saying that Nigeria not going to benefit from it because we just can't come up with the right outputs. That's the problem, and those outputs can happen because of the oil theft, because of the bad rigs, because of all the infrastructure not in place. So it's a case of this boom season for most oil countries and or oil producing countries. Nigerians can't benefit from it. So it's just like sitting back at home and watching other people having a party, and there's nothing you can do about it. But globally, the invasion is such a serious thing, has implications for all sorts of things, global security, for democracy itself, because this is seen, an attack on Ukraine is seen as an attack on democracy anywhere in the world, on sovereignty, on independent countries, that a sovereign power can just be overrun like that. So how Ukrainians defend themselves and how they deal with this crisis will also be part of the drama that we'll fix our eyes on in the coming days.
Definitely, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for joining us in the press preview.